Today, we will be converting water into food, into money, and eventually into victory points. We have all of this laid out on this chart: water, food, money, victory points. And this conversion is done in a very fun way. There are a lot of cool mechanics, and I will come back to this chart after I tell you more about this board game. Welcome to Board Game Detectives. My name is Serge, and today we'll talk about Fields of Green. This is a very fun game, which gets my recommendation and crystal rating. Today we will talk about how it plays, what I like, and about farming in general. But first, let's check BGG stats. Fields of Green was designed by Vangelis Bagiartakis. The game was released in 2016, has overall rank of 1061. It plays 2 to 4 players, best at 2, but I'm fine playing at 3 and 4. It's a very quick game, 45 minutes, seems to be about right, and the weight is 2.6, which again sounds about right. Relatively simple game. So what's interesting, this game is re-implementation of another game, Among the Stars, which has similar mechanics, but the theme is space exploration. So you can get this game instead if you like space more. In Fields of Green, you will be playing a farmer who is trying to build the most effective and efficient farm that generates the most victory points. By the end of the game, your farm might look something like this. Those are, by the way, random cards, so don't try to make sense of them. The first thing that I like about Fields of Green is that this tableau feels very good. You build your farm piece by piece, you decide what to put where, and you get emotionally attached to this. It feels like it is your farm. I do like the overall theme of Fields of Green, farming, outdoors, and this gameplay is very relaxing and enjoyable. I like it. There are 4 rounds. For each of them, you'll be getting 6 cards. You'll take a look, you'll pick the best one for you, you'll play it, and then you will pass the rest to the next player. And this drafting will continue until all 6 cards are played. I really like this mechanism. It adds tension to the game. It is very organizing to look at the cards, and all of them are tasty, and you want all of them. But you need to make a pick, and you know that whatever good cards you leave, the next player will definitely take advantage of those. At the beginning of the game, fields are the most important cards, and they are really fun. We have tomatoes, apple trees, pumpkins, peppers, and a lot of other crops. And look at those cute images, really enjoyable to play those cards. So for each card, if you want to build it, you have to pay the cost, $4 here. And then they can either bring some immediate bonuses, or after each round, you can harvest those. And for that, you need water. And for water, you will be building water towers. They are a very important piece of this game and strategy. So during the harvest, you can get various benefits. And let's read this one, for example. Get 1 food, and for every 2 adjacent fields, get an additional food. Adjacency, adjacency, and adjacency. Those are probably the top 3 most important components of this game. Most of the cards have certain bonuses if they are adjacent to some specific other cards. And when you pick a location or when you play, it's very important that you feed into your engine and make other cards work for you. This is the most important piece of the strategy in this game. So you worked hard on your fields. You watered it really well, and you harvested a lot of food, which now you will store in silos. And you need animals that can eat all of that food. And those animals are really cute. For example, we have ducks, turkeys, donkeys, horses, and many other animals. All of them are great, and they bring you money at the end of each round. And money is extremely important. It allows you to buy more advanced locations. The first one is constructions. For example, we have workshop, animal pen, fuel depot. Well, constructions do three major things. The first one, they enhance fields and livestock, make them either cheaper or more efficient. Also, they can give you access to equipment, which also upgrades those tiles. And third, you can get extra victory points from those tiles. And victory points is ultimately what matters the most, which brings us to the most important location, which happens also to be the most expensive one. Buildings only give you victory points at the end of the game. A couple of examples here. Stables, large barn, farmhouse, guest house. Let's read an example from one of them. Get 1 victory point for each different type of field and livestock locations within 3. And this brings us to one of my favorite mechanics in this game. So buildings give you victory points at the end of the game. Other than that, they're completely useless. But you do need to build them earlier because you need to know what they require for you to get bonuses. So you do need to build it, and then in the example of guest house, surround it with different types of fields and livestock. But this creates the dilemma. When you get the next hand and you have the guest house or chickens, now you have to decide, do you want chickens that give you money right away or guest house that will give you points at the end of the game? And I do love this decision making. It adds a lot of fun to the gameplay and a lot of tension. So let's get back to our business plan. Our journey begins with water that comes from water towers. We use it for fields that bring us food, which we store in silos and later feed to livestock. It brings us money. We spend it to buy new locations. Locations can be cheap, fields and livestock, more expensive constructions, and buildings that are the most expensive. All locations are generating some victory points, but it's buildings that will bring you the most of victory points. So it's important to prioritize those. And you need to build them early enough so that you can meet the requirements for those victory points. This creates a very cool puzzle. All items interact. I love it a lot. This is a very cool puzzle to solve. Now you know how to play the game, and I hope you are excited enough to try it out and to build your own farm. Before we say goodbyes, I want us to spend a couple moments on one more interesting fact that I found in the rulebook of this game. It turns out that Fields of Green is a government-sponsored program, which led my curious mind down the rabbit hole. I wanted to know how much governments of different countries support their farmers. And it turns out that on average, it is around 10-15% that farmers get subsidized with. And I was very surprised that 3 countries on the right, Switzerland, Japan, and Korea, have this level at around 50%. Very interesting fact. I live in Canada, so for obvious reasons, I wanted to check some countries that are closer to me. So here's some interesting facts about United States. Corn, wheat, and soybeans get around 70% of the total governmental support to farmers. And the subsidies range from 20 to 40% of the overall market value. Unfortunately, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And here's the conclusion of this article. The US government heavily influences what farmers grow and consumers eat through various policies to subsidize the production of certain crops. The most highly subsidized crops, particularly corn, wheat, and soy, are highly prevalent in our food supply and consumed at rates well above recommendations, especially in highly processed foods. It is critical that both policymakers and the American public understand the influence that federal agricultural subsidies have on our food supply and diet, and in turn, our nutrition and health. What I like about Fields of Green is that it is totally up to you what you grow in your fields and on your farm. It is your farm and you do it the way you like it. I enjoyed the experience and I recommend this game to you. If you are still watching, thank you so much. See you next time.